quality education with an emphasis on developing the full potential of the individual. Do we have anybody for open forum? Or we're doing it at the end, never mind, I had the sheet in front of me, I'm sorry. Okay, I need a motion to approve, actually we need to make a amendment to the agenda.
I would move that we amended the agenda to include the items on the tabletop for the consent agenda. And that is the resolution part of the consent agenda as well?
Yes.
Yes. I would move that we could put all the donations in the resolution and the spring play EA amend the agenda to include those.
The resolution is not.
Oh, resolution is not. Okay. So I'm sorry. Okay. So my motion then, to be clear, is to add these items to their appropriate places on the agenda.
So we'll be adding spring play EA, Dennis Gapansky. We'll be adding 2 donations to the agenda, consent agenda. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
All members in favor?
Aye.
Do a resolution for accepting gifts.
I'll be approval of the into the items first.
Yeah.
Okay.
We just approved the agenda with the amendment.
This one that I printed off doesn't have it in the file. So I will get this one. Sorry.
Do you want mine? I have it
it's
right
fine.
here.
Yeah, they were copied then.
Okay. Sorry about that. Approval of routine business items which include the consent agenda, board bills, and approval of the meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Approved by Nathan, second by Patrick. All members in favor?
Aye.
Now we can move ahead. Sorry about that. Resolution for accepting gifts. And we do need to add in a donation from Lenore Princess for $25,000 for the Foley High School, and a donation from Brian and Andrea Rom for $200 for the Foley High School bed repair. We also have some other ones. Okay, sorry. For Blake and Arcadia Blake DeMars for pull-ups for $275 for the Community Expo. Another one for Katie and Blake DeMars for diapers, wipes, body wash, shampoo, lotions for $40 value for the Community Expo. Coburn's and Foley, 2 large boxes of school supplies for the students and staff of Foley Elementary School. Foley Youth Baseball, 2 dugouts for the Foley baseball team, totaling about $15,871.38. And then the other 2, which I've already talked about.
Well, I would make a motion to accept these very generous gifts this month. This is astonishing.
Make a motion by Patrick and a second
I'll second it.
by Nathan. All members in favor?
Aye.
We have 2026-2027 online school proposal discussion. We'll have Mr. Cuttlefield first, or Mr. Fossil come up and talk about it.
Members of the board, superintendent, posthumous, members of the audience. We've had a committee that's been working for quite some time to look at offering an online option for our students. Kelly, if you go to the next slide, that'll show us why we're looking at it. It says on there we've had 28 students leave our high school and go online. As of today, now it's 29. Students are looking for flexibility, especially juniors and seniors. They're working, they're doing other things, they want to be able to do school when they want to be able to do school. They're working jobs, lots of things. There's some other issues I listed there. Transportation issues, we have some students open enroll. When gas goes to $3.60 a gallon, parents don't want to drive them to school. They're going to an online option. Friends and siblings. Many times when one student goes online, within a couple of days we'll find out that another student or two are going with them. Friends are doing things together. And there's a social aspect. Some students don't have a connection at school. There may be social issues within groups, bullying, those sorts of things. Even though we deal with it sometimes, they just want to not be there. Now, where are they going? Up on the top line, I listed the 4 most common districts where students are going. Big Lake Online, Malacca Online, Princeton Online, and Connections Academy. Big Lake, Princeton, and Malacca all use a program called Edgenuity. It's an online platform. That is the same platform we're planning to use to offer this online. Kelly, if you go to the next slide. The logistics, we're going to use Edgenuity. It's an online platform, has many different courses. We already use it for some credit recovery things in our after-school program, our summer program. We use it in our ALC to teach some of the courses, and we use it for some independent studies. In other words, course that students want to take that we don't have the availability to offer to 1 or 2 students. They have interest in those areas, so we use Edgenuity already. We will use Foley High School licensed staff members to facilitate, award credit, and answer questions for students. So students will be able to email teachers, and I say email because, again, when they're working on weekends or late at night, they'll email a teacher, ask a question. The teacher will then have an hour in their day where they will answer questions for those students. They'll register at either the start of the year or trimester breaks. We're not going to 3 weeks in let them jump out of the classes that they're in and into an online program. We'll only allow them to do that 3 times a year, and that's pretty consistent. If it's a semester program like Malacca, they only let students go at the beginning of the year and at the semester break. You don't let students jump in and out. They will be able to enroll either full-time or part-time, so they could take some courses here and take some online. We will offer some, career and tech ed courses, but taking a Woods class online isn't the same as being in a classroom. Okay? Singing to yourself isn't like being in a choir. So there are some things they may want to do. No, some may not. Okay, they may want to just do an online art course and get their art credit that way. And they could do those sorts of things. Next slide, Kelly. Next slide is going to talk about the costs. I mean, everything comes with a cost, certainly. Edgenuity, we have a contract with them already for what we've been doing. That's up in June. The old contract with the old structure was called a site license. But now that we're offering an online school, they don't. The contract has to be different, but we paid $58,000 for 3 years for Edgenuity in the past. Under the new contract with the new structure, we'll buy so many course licenses. They're $50 a license. We have to buy a minimum of 200 up front. They don't expire. It's not a yearly thing. If we don't use all those 200 this year, we can carry them over to next year. If we need more, then we can add them on individually as we go. But we have to start with a minimum commitment. So that would be a $10,000 commitment. Plus, there's about a $4,000 training. We will have an online coordinator. Okay, one of our staff members will be that online coordinator. We'll be kind of working with technology issues, helping assign courses, helping to make sure that students are doing those things along with our counselor. They'll help those sorts of things. But there will be training for the coordinator, the teachers, and the administration so that we can work through some of those things. Now, we will need staffing, okay? We will need 3 sections a year, in other words, 1 section each trimester for the online coordinator. We will need to offer 2 sections of each of our cores. Okay, right now, if you're in the high school, you take math 2 of the 3 trimesters. You take English 2 of the 3 trimesters. So we'll offer that same sort of thing online so that they can get those same number of credits. Electives, we'll need some 4 to 5 different sections of electives. Most likely art, business, a CTE are 3 of probably the most common areas. where they have courses available. Now, when I talk about a section isn't just ninth grade English. The English teacher will have some students doing ninth grade English, some doing 10th grade, some doing 11th. Okay? But again, they're facilitating, they're not teaching the lessons, they're answering questions, they're grading work, so they'll have all of the students that are doing English. Okay? By state law, on the bottom there, it says a section is 40 students. The legislature has put a cap on how large a section can be, but it doesn't have a cap on the number of different topics that can be taught in. So that's where the staffing will come in. And then the savings, okay? Hopefully, whenever students leave, we ask them, if we had an online program, would you come back? And most of them have said, yes, they would come back. Okay? Having a diploma from Foley, for Foley students, still means something, but it may not mean as much as the flexibility they gain by going online. So, we're hoping to get at least 20 of those back. We have students now that have said, we want to go online, and we've talked them into, give us till next fall. Stay with us this year, okay, be part of the high school, and then next year, if that's still your choice, they will have something in place hopefully. And so we've had students that have agreed. So I'm fairly conservatively believe that we'll have 30 students, there will be some level of online. When you look at the funding, the round number that we use between the per pupil formula and some of the compensatory eds and some of the different things, it approaches $10,000 a student. So if we can either get back or keep 30 students, there is some monetary part there as well. Earlier with the DAX committee, we went through a very detailed what our plan is, how we do attendance, all those different things. We also talked about why Ingenuity. And again, our staff have already looked at it. Some of them are already using it. We're familiar with it. And again, it's what the area districts are using. So if another district is using it, if our student went there, it'd be a much easier transition for them to come back so that they can be part of our online since it would be the same thing. Questions?
Do our students who complete the course, do they walk at graduation?
So they will be our courses, so as long as they're taking enough courses here, just like a normal student, they would walk at graduation. We have homeschool students that take a course or two here, they don't take enough credits, they don't walk at graduation. So if a student only took a couple of online courses but was homeschooled for the rest, they'd be treated the same way. But as long as they take enough credits to qualify for graduation, yes, they'll walk at the same graduation ceremony. Or they'll be allowed to, if they choose.
So as you mentioned, we did talk about this at DAX, and the committee did make a formal motion and approval to go forward. They liked what they saw. A lot of people, obviously there's the financial component, but when we showed the in-depth of how the courses work, DAX seemed to enjoy that as well. A lot of the, and more options that will be available to students was kind of the takeaway.
The other thing that happens sometimes is we have students go to an online program somewhere else, and if it's not working for them, all of a sudden they come back and they come to the office. I've been gone for a year and I got 2 credits last year. I really need you to help me graduate. Well, this way we can monitor, we can talk to those families, because again, there are students who will be able to be more proactive about that and hopefully intervene before they get to that sort of a situation.
One of the things DAX really liked, just for anyone watching at home as it were, was the check-in with the teacher and like the rules about like they have to have an assignment a week done, and if things aren't happening, like what the steps are for contacting the students and parents. Like it's very monitored. It's not just like okay, you signed up, we'll see you later. So it is a very structured program.
So I just got one question.
Yes.
I probably should have asked it earlier, but,
Sure.
so once there's 40 kids in the English group, or in the 40 kids, we have to open another section for a teacher?
So we would
Or-
cap it for that year most
Okay.
likely, and then we look to the future to expand.
Okay, so we kind of know where that.
Yep.
Like if we had 80 kids online, we could automatically, like if that would be our starting point. Say there was 80 kids in Foley that wanted online learning next year, we would start it at, or we wait?
If we can if we can work the staffing with our staff, we could offer 2 sections.
Okay,
I don't think we'll get there
right. I
go
just-
right away next year, but we will certainly monitor as we go.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Thank you, Mr. Foster.
Thank you.
Okay, next on our list is 2027 long-term facility maintenance revision.
Before we move on, I was just curious, does the board need to approve that, or what
It
happens?
would be nice if we could get an approval to move forward with this.
You let's just list it as discussion.
Yeah, I
item.
see that.
Is it okay if we do that tonight or not? I don't know what the.
It's up to the board. Any board member can make a motion at any time during the board meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second. Okay.
So approved by Stephanie, second by Wayne. All members in favor?
Aye.
Now we'll move forward with the 2027 long-term facility maintenance revision. This is a discussion and action plan. Is this you, Brian?
It is.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I'm Ryan Fetters, I'm Ryan Fetters. I'm the business manager here at the district, and so tonight, what we have before us is a revision to the fiscal year 27 LTFM plan. So there's 2 components to this. There's the expenditure plan, the things that we're going to do with the money, and then the revenue. So obviously, did I knock it off? So there's 2 components to this. There's the expenditure side and the revenue side. Is that right? I need to stand for that. All right. This might be the 5th time. There's an expenditure side and there's a revenue side. The reason we're doing this is because with the indoor air quality project that's being funded through long-term facility maintenance, also known as LTFM. There's a portion of it that we still need to fund beyond the last bond. And so there was a mix of funding to finance that, and a portion of it is coming from another LTFM, very small LTFM, about a 3-year bond. And so in order to do that, we need to revise the fiscal 27 plan, and the purpose, I know you've had, prior to me being here, you've had probably several discussions on the plan with our municipal advisor, Ellers, about how it would be financed and that it would not be a tax rate impact. Okay, and that's the key that I want to impress upon everyone. So the way that we're accomplishing this is because, while it would be a small bond, there were 3 other sources of funding that we're using for this. So the total cost that we're looking at is approximately $425,000 remaining on the portion of this project we need to finance. So a portion of it will be, and in the resolution, or excuse me, it's a notice of intent that we'll talk about later. You'll see that the maximum par amount, so the maximum size of the bond is $240,000. So in addition to that, we have some funds on hand from our debt service fund, and about $18,000. We have another about $103,000 coming from prior bond funds that we're able to put down. And then also there'll be a transfer from our fund balance in LTFN fund. So the purpose of these extra funds is to buy down that bond and to help ensure that we're estimated from our municipal advisor not to have a tax rate increase. Okay, that's the purpose of this. So in so doing, we need to revise the plan. And so therefore, in front of us, what we have, I know it's hard to see here, but we now have for fiscal year 27, and it's really small on my page too. So we have going to be having expenditures of $1,321,489, and that is an increase from the original plan that we approved in July. It's an increase of $286,174. And again, that's the source for that is a variety of this, but part of it is going to be the bond. This is the only reason why we're able to revise the plan, is because we're going to be issuing a bond. On the revenue portion, For fiscal year '27, there's not an increase, it's absolutely the same, because the funding source is going to be the proceeds of the bond. But out in fiscal year '29, there's another, this is the expenditure plan. There's another plan here, right here. And in the blue section, thank you, Kelly. In the blue section right there in the middle, Kelly, maybe you can put your, right there. Right, the only addition really to this is we're including the debt service, a portion of the debt service for this 3-year bond up on the front end to help ensure we won't have a tax rate impact is going to come from the bond proceeds. But we will be levying in fiscal year '29, the estimate is about $264,000. So that's the only change to the revenue plan. And so they're just very small changes. Again, need to do this in order to send this to MDE for approval and to issue the small bond.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, basically what we have here is a revised version of our funding and expenditure plan to show how we're going to use various funds together for our IAQ project in order to be tax neutral, have no raise in taxes. Am I saying this correctly?
You are saying this correctly, and the reason, excuse me, that we need to revise the plan is the LTFM component and the fact that we're issuing bonds. That allows us to revise this, but again, no tax impact, so I just want to make sure that's clear. But I'm happy to answer questions on that. And it's about a 3-year, again, this is estimates right now, depending on the time, what the market is, but it's a very short, very small bond. And again, we're using fund balance, so we have skin in the game to buy down the bond to make sure that we don't have tax impact.
Fantastic. I like it when you say no tax impact. That's very nice.
Does anybody else have any questions in regards to this? Any of the board members?
So I should add to this, though, I don't think I said this. For fiscal '27 on the revenue side, it would be $1,321,469, which again is the same amount that you approved back in July on the revenue side. And we do have, I think, a resolution for this.
Anybody want to make a motion?
I would make a motion to approve the resolution for the revised plans.
Second. Motion was made by Patrick and second by Stephanie. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. All members in favor?
Aye.
Sharon?
Yeah.
Okay. Wayne? Nathan? Stephanie? We're all in favor. Okay. So the resolution related to the general obligation facilities maintenance bonds, that's the next one. Okay, series 2026A, stating official intent to proceed with and authorizing the insurance of and sales therefore, and providing for credit enhancements with respect thereto. This is an action, our discussion and action item. Is that you, Brian?
This is the revised budget.
This is
This is the,
We did the number 8, now the 9.
so this would be the actual bond from what you just talked about.
correct.
So we need to approve that as well.
Correct. So the purpose of this resolution, where it's a notice of intent that the district will be issuing bonds, but it is to establish that the district's providing the authorization for the issuance, and it has a certain other items under these different sections that will require approval by the Commissioner of Education. We have a notice of publication that should you move forward with passing this notice of intent that we would need to publish in the local newspaper. And then it establishes Ehlers and Associates as our municipal advisor for the potential sale. And then it also talks about how we would be authorizing state credit enhancement for the bonds, which is basically using the state's interest, rating in order to get, because it has a higher rating and the type of issuance is small, that it would help with interest rates and securing lower interest rates. And then another very important part of this resolution is section six, which is the reimbursement resolution. So the purpose of that is, due to IRS regulations, what we need to do is to allow us to pay for things ahead of time, ahead of issuing the bonds. We can go back 60 days from today's date, if you were to move forward with this, to pay for any expenses associated with the project and reimburse ourselves from the bond proceeds. So nothing's been spent yet for this portion of the project. This is just a good measure to allow the district to reimburse themselves for any outlays before the bonds close, and I believe it's going to be in early summer, probably in July by the time we close on these bonds.
Madam Chair, I apologize, I thought the last one was for the resolution. We
We need a resolution, or a
This-
discussion
we need
and
the name
action
for the
item,
resolution.
right? Okay. So is there anybody that would like to make a motion to approve this item?
I'll make a motion to approve. Second.
So a motion was made by Nathan, second by Patrick. We'll go around and all in favor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And yes. So now should we do the tabletop item that is on here? For the resolution, or was that the one that was numbered? That's the one that you took off, okay. Okay. 2025-26 revised budget presentation. Looks like you got, that's you and I. Or Todd, okay. Oh, Todd, I can't hear you. Speaker's not working. Can I put that by? Oh.
May I share my screen, will that work?
Sure. Does Todd have his volume up enough?
Hi, do you want to turn up your volume also, please?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, better.
Okay. Okay, so we have the revised budget overview here for FY '26. Looking at the general fund first, and projected to increase the unassigned fund balance by $539,732. We would end with an unassigned fund balance of $3,118,452, or 11.91%. And we have our restricted funds here. Not a lot of change in FY '26, pretty much just growing slightly. Staff development would end up with a zero fund balance. English learner, looking to find, they're looking at things we can code to English learner to spend that fund balance down to $53,755. Now we have the state schools fund balance of 37, and some teacher comp funds left over from FY '25 that potentially will be spent down as well. But at this time, we end with an $18,200 fund balance. LTFM basically spending the new revenue that's coming in, going down just slightly by $573. And medical assistance going down by $58,000, still a really healthy MA fund balance of $272,348. And in the signed, we have $515,000. So overall, for the year, we're projecting to have a positive spending variance of $387,399, and then with a total general fund balance of $5,032,853. Moving on to Fund 2, food service, projecting just a slight deficit, essentially flat there. We do have a very good fund balance of $992,147 starting the year. So it's spend that down $6,327 and then that $985,820. Community education, as you know, we've had our challenges to get that in the black, projecting deficits in community ed, ECFE, and school readiness at this point. Overall deficit spending of $53,429, which is an improvement over past years, but still deficit spending and growing that deficit to $167,018. And then the debt service fund, slight deficit spend there, but still have a very significant fund balance there of $915,138. And internal service fund, increasing slightly by $9,000, ending with a $33,408 fund balance. And OPEB, so we had an activity in here this year, which we haven't had for a while. This would be the draw that was done in FY25 that was moved from cash to, or from investments to cash. We are going to expense those funds in FY26 and actually move those funds to the general fund to reduce our health insurance costs, Object 220, by that amount, which is what was a big catalyst, if you will, to allow us to have this increase in our unassigned fund balance of $539,732. That was a big part of it. We also, in terms of assumptions made in this budget, we lowered our PSEO loss from an estimated 50 in grades 11 and 12 to 34. And, just some other taking one-time costs that occurred in FY25 that aren't going to repeat in FY26 and so on. So, any questions on the FY26 revised budget?
What will our fund balance be at the end of the year? What will our fund balance be at the end of that projected?
Can you help me with that, Kelly?
What's the fund balance gonna be? What's the projection at the end?
Of FY26?
Yes.
Yes.
So for FY26, unassigned projected ending fund balance, $3,118,452, or 11.91%. And total general fund balance, $5,032,853, which is an increase of $387,399.
So what was the percentage, sorry? On that? 11.9.
And that was what, for 26, 27?
No,
25.
25, 26. Okay, fine.
And we have a policy about that number, correct?
12%.
Of 12? So this is the closest we've been in a few years. So this is progress.
Anybody else have any questions in regards to this?
I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second. Motion by Nathan, second by Patrick. All members in favor?
Aye. Thank you, Todd.
Or is he doing are you doing the update?
I can do the budget update right away as well, if that works. Yeah.
Yep, we can do that quickly.
Okay, so the budget update for activity posted through February 28th. We have the general fund revenues at the top here, page 8. Collected $11,859,469. Last year at this time we had collected $11,744,000. So we're up about $55,000 compared to last year. As a percent of the revised budget, we're at 53.5%. Slightly ahead of last year's pace and pretty close to right on with 2 years ago, percent of final. In terms of federal grants, we're at 162,536 received. Last year at this time, we're at 154,075. Again, percent of budget compared to percent of final last year, almost at the same point. Property taxes collected to date, 1,364,617. We're at 43.8% budget. Last year, we handled this differently from an accounting standpoint. It was all of our property tax collections were posted against property taxes receivable. This year, we're recording to those receipts to revenues, and that's what we'll do going forward, and then reconcile those receipts between funds during the year and close out in the summer. So that's why that's quite a bit different than last year. Local revenues of 580,095. We're ahead of the prior year pace in terms of percent of budget expected. Last year we were about 117,000 higher in terms of dollars. Our final revenues collected last year, 1,190,000. We're anticipated 757,087 in FY26. Overall, we're at 52.5% of our budget collected. Last year, we're at 47.9% of final at this time. So about 4.6% ahead of the prior year pace or so. So in good shape there. Revenues are coming in on track and appear to be on budget. On the expenditure side, we're at 53.1% of our budget expended. For salaries and wages, last year we were at 53.7%. Benefits were at 58.3% of budget. Last year we were at 57.2%. We're tracking a little higher because we haven't yet recognized that negative 304,000, which will take these expenditures down in the benefits area. Once we post that entry, purchase services for tracking higher than last year by about 600,000 or so. We're at 74.8% of budget. Last year we were at 66.1%. And supplies, we're at 1,233,000. We're up with spending about 160,000 compared to last year, and we're at 85.6% of budget. So purchase services, supplies, equipment, those numbers can jump around in terms of timing of when those are spent. Unlike salaries and benefits, should track very tight with the prior years. And so overall, we're at 59.4% of budget. Last year we were at 58.2%, year before at 57.7%. But again, we have some negative expenses close there, about 300,000, which would get that total percent of budget in line with prior year percent of final. Any questions on the general fund activity? Okay, moving on to our other funds. So we have total revenues, total expenditures for our other operating funds and the debt service fund. Food service revenues tracking ahead of the prior year pace. We are on track, almost right on exactly with last year in terms of percent of budget compared to percent of final. But we are up about 18,000 in revenue in food service compared to last year. At this time, community education revenues are also up, about 37,000, or about 40,000 compared to last year. Actually, it is 30,000. Construction revenues, last year we had the bond proceeds come in FY25. This year we only have the interest earnings to recognize, which is at 143,675. And debt service revenues of 1,465,000. Again, last year those revenues were being recorded against the balance sheet account primarily. And we have our custodial fund activity and internal service fund, which is our dental insurance. So all looking good for all of our other funds too on the revenue side. Expenditures, Food service expenditures are up a bit, about 29,000 compared to last year. But our revenues are also up. And community education expenditures are down 30,000 compared to last year. Construction, of course, we're working through the construction project, so its spending is up compared to last year at 5.6 million. And then we have our debt service activity, which is pretty much complete for fiscal year 26. Our debt service payments go out at the end of January. So that activity is done for the year. All right, total summary, all funds, revenues of 17,232,613, expenditures of 25,412, primarily impacted by the construction fund spending of 5.6 million, and just other timing of when revenues flow in versus expenses going out. The state holds back 10% of our state aid, which is our biggest revenue. So that contributes to that current year shortfall from a cash flow standpoint. Any questions on the budget update?
Todd, that shortfall, so that is just because of timing, by end of year, that shortfall will be gone, correct?
Correct, yeah, we need to, like I said, recognize that transfer of 304,000 from the OPEB fund, Fund 25 to Fund 1, so that would tighten that up a bit. And then also we're recognizing, of course, on our expenses as they occur, but the state aids are metered out. We receive 90% between July and June. So that 10% holdback, that's a pretty big number that we end up recognizing as revenue and a receivable on June 30th. And that's about 1.5 million that will have, no, wrong number. About 2 million that will have in receivable at the end of the year. That will shore up that variance.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Any other questions?
No, I was just going to make a comment that that 10% that we don't see within the fiscal year comes into us through the next July, August, September, October, and sometimes November. That's the importance of our fund balance so that we can continue to keep going even though that funding hasn't come in.
So we don't have to make a motion on this, this is just a discussion, okay?
Thanks, Don.
Yep. All right, have a good night.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, Todd?
Discuss the 2026-27 district calendar. This is a discussion and action.
So the calendar committee met in January, February, and March, and talked about the different opportunities for school calendars for the next 2 years. And we developed this using last year's calendar as well as calendars previous to that as things that have gone well and things that needed to be looked at for potential changes. And so we went ahead and developed these. We have members from all schools, administration, community ed, and so forth. Our activities director and so forth. So, with these two calendars, the committee felt these were the best options for us and recommended that the board approve both.
Anybody have a question on the 2026-2027 calendar? I'll take a motion to approve. to approve, Stephanie second, all members in favor?
Aye.
Approve the 27-28 district calendar. Does anybody have any questions on the district calendar for 27-28? Take a motion to approve. Alyssa made a motion to approve. Anybody second?
I'll second.
Wayne will second. All members in favor?
Aye.
Talk about policies requiring review. First reading, this is a discussion and call for public comment on the following policies.
Yeah.
Sorry. Item 2026-2027 SRO contract. This is a discussion action and action item. So, any questions or discussion on that item?
This is very similar to last year's contract. It is an increase due to extra costs to the city. The district is, by contract, would pay half of this cost, and if the cost turns out to be less, we would pay less.
So it's not really, the contract won't actually be valid until the city actually approves their contract of the cost, right?
I'm not sure if the city's approved this or not. This was the contract that was sent to me from the city,
Oh, okay,
so.
so for clarity.
It will be.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions in regards to that?
I'll make a motion to approve the SRO contract. Second.
Stephanie made a motion. Nathan seconded. All members in favor?
Aye.
Okay, policies requiring a review, discussion, first reading, and call for public comment of the following policies. Policy 410, family and medical leave policy. Policy 515, protection and privacy of pupil records. Policy 530, immunization requirements. Policy 615, testing, accommodation, modifications, and exemption for IEPs, Section 504 plans and LEP students. Policy 625, responsible use of artificial intelligence. Policy 701, established and adoption of school district budget. Policy 712, video recording other than on buses.
So Madam Chair, the policy committee did meet and go through these. Mr. Wilson, Ms. Schumacher, with me, and Mr. Ponsumas, as we went through them. We said to go forward with them, and they're all basically just statute style changes, reflect changes legally, legal language. The only thing that I would like to call attention to is the AI policy, the artificial intelligence. That is a brand new policy, just drafted this year by MSBA. And so that's just a brand new one.
And we did agree to review that more frequently at first, because this is just the beginning of it. We should keep an eye on it. We need to make changes to that.
So how frequently do you think that we should be reviewing that?
I think once a year,
Once a
because
year?
what will likely happen is MSBA will probably change some sort of legal phrasing in there, and we'll just want to make sure we're up to date on the latest.
Anybody in the audience, public comment, have any questions on these? Or any questions on the policies? Okay. Go to the next, number 15. Policies require review, discussion, action, third and final reading, and call for public comment on the following policies. Policy 202, school board officers. Policy 203.5, school board meeting agenda. Policy 204, school board meeting minutes. Policy 306, Administrator Code of Ethics. Policy 606, Textbooks and Instructional Materials. Policy 722, Public Data and Data Subject Requests. Any action or any discussion on these?
I'll just say once again that the policy committee had met upon these 3 months ago for review and forward to the board for approval. The kind of changes again are going to be largely just like references to statutes, legal phrasing changes, things like that.
That are all coming from MSBA.
Yes, all those changes always come from MSBA. They're a team of lawyers.
Anybody else have any questions or anything that they'd like to speak about in regards to these?
I just do want to make one other general comment. The reason why we take the MSBA model policies typically, as I mentioned, like they have the legal expertise and everything. Typically, when they make any kind of change to a policy, it's because their legal team has said that that particular word should change, or the statute or whatever. And it's really always in our own legal best interest to follow that, because we're not the only school then that's doing that. It's going to be pretty much every school, every public school in the state is going to have these same policies.
Take a motion to approve these policies.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Wayne and seconded by Patrick. All members in favor?
Aye.
We went over the budget, but we'll go over the enrollment. You want to go over that? Or does somebody go over that?
For the enrollment projections, tracking, as of the start of March, so March 1. So in the elementary, we have gained 1 student in the 1st grade. So from last month, we had 522 students in the elementary. Now we have 523. In the intermediate school, we are ending the month, or excuse me, beginning of the month here, with the same number of students as we had last month, but there's some fluctuations around. So in 4th grade, we've lost a student down to 129. In 5th grade, we've gained 2 to 166. In 6th grade, we have lost 1 to 146. And then in the 7th grade, we are down 2 to 170. In the 8th grade, we are up to 116 again, with total of 771, just like last month. And then in the high school, we've also gained 2 students from last month. We were looking at 561 to 563 as of March 1st. And so no change in the 9th grade, 1 student added to the 10th grade. 11th grade is the same, and 1 has been added to the 12th grade. So when we look at those all in total, we had 1,857. And then when we take into account the losses due to PSEO and the ALC, we're looking at 1,805.1 in comparison to last month. So we're up to from last month where we were at 1,803.87. And again, those fractions of students that are partial student counts that impact that, and that's why it's that way.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, we'll move on to the school board report on the superintendent's mid-year evaluation. So, we met with the superintendent as a school board. We did a 6-month evaluation, which was great to see all about how we were all feeling on this matter. The Foley School Board recently completed a 6-month evaluation on Superintendent Ostermus. Sorry, I can't talk anymore. The board reviewed the feedback across several leadership areas, including governance, communication, fiscal management, and overall leadership. Overall, the board recognizes the superintendent's professionalism, responsiveness, and efforts to maintain communication with the board and community. The evaluation also identified areas of continued focus, including strengthening district-wide communication and alignment, increasing engagement with staff and community, and continuing progress on our financial transparency, the district's strategic plan and key projects such as the IAQ project initiative. The board looks forward to continuing to work together with the superintendent to support students, staff, and the Foley community. School board administrator information and reports. Peter, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, I can. Hi, everyone. I just have two quick things. I just want to say a really quick thank you to, I know Eric might be stepping on toes here, winter coaches. Thank you guys. I know we wrapped up, we had some really good supports this season too. I have a lot of staff in my building and coach as well, so I just want to give a big thank you to them. I know much time and energy goes into all those things. Other thing I want to highlight, last week we had our student activity night. That's something that's been going on for a very long time. So I just want to highlight that we had a 3-on-3 basketball tournament, concessions for kids. We had 9 square in the air going and some other really fun events for kids. So it's a really great experience to see our kids getting out and interacting with our kids and community in that capacity.
Mr. Cooper?
Just one quick update to my written report. So in my written report, I had noted that we have been approved for 8 tutors through AmeriCorps for next year. That would be an increase of 2 over what we currently have. 3 of those 8 have already been filled, so we have a good start for next year. So it's a good place to be with a few more positions to be filled, but that's a pretty positive sign so far.
Mr. Fox?
Like in my written report, I highlighted the unified game. It's kind of become a tradition between Foley and Malacca. We'll be hosting the unified game tomorrow at 1 o'clock. If anybody's able, it is open to the public. Usually when you're ready, you can check in. And I would just like to thank Mr. Kroll for his many years of service and wish him well. And his retirement, it will be difficult to so.
Melissa?
I just want to thank everybody who came out to the expo this past Saturday, and then just highlight the community workers who put together a great expo. And the Lions Club served breakfast this year. We served almost 350 breakfasts, which is up 25 from last year. And we had 55 vendors, which is the same as last year. So overall, it's a good community expo. I want to say go up to archery as they're kind of going into the final weeks of their season. They have regions this coming weekend at White Bear Lake, and then they head to Duluth the last weekend of March for state. And then congratulations to the retirees.
Paul, do you want to wait till the last one? You got anything big to bring in?
No. Actually, excuse me, I do not, but I was going to give you guys all a cupcake with one candle in it, because as of tomorrow, it's my 1-year anniversary here. And for those of you that read the staff newsletter, I thank my neighbors, my great neighbors who moved here when we did this. It's a little different living in town versus out on land where you don't see anybody. That's been a little different. And then, so thanks to everybody that's helped me, including my neighbors, like who's the best chiropractor, or who's the best, all that kind of stuff. Coming up on Wednesday, this is what I mostly want to talk about, I go down to the Capitol, and facility managers have what's called the Day on the Hill, and we meet with I'll be meeting with our 3 legislators from the area here, and we will go over a couple of bills that we're trying to get passed with our lobbyists. One of those has to do with, all 3 bills have to do with security and security enhancements. And then we also go, and instead of doing, obviously I don't get to bring motors and stuff to the show and tell, but I do bring bills and invoices to show them. Because my biggest thing is, if this roof leaks, it doesn't matter if one person's in it, or 150 or 200, it costs the same. So my big thing has always been building it on a per pupil. And I know they have to do certain things that way, but that's what I'll talk to them about. I was like, it just doesn't, and although he's only like 450 kids, right, so you got, that roof costs the same, whether that's square foot. So my biggest thing is to literally tell them, those situations are, what can we do about that, so that happens on Wednesday.
Well, we're glad that you've been here for a year, and we hope you continue to be here for many more.
Sure.
And we thank you for advocating for our building. Mr. Inglis, what do you have today?
As Peter alluded to, we had an incredible winter with all of our activities, several state tournaments, individual appearances. Knowledgeable was just, they were a half a point away from qualifying for the state tournament. So one more question, right, they would have been right there too. We would have had another chance to celebrate our incredible students. We've had walkthroughs and pep fests. So not only want to make sure we're thanking all of our coaches and advisors for the time that they put into our kids, but also to our staff for allowing us to take the time and have an altered schedule throughout the day, so we have the opportunity to bring the student body together and celebrate, honestly, all the wonderful things that our kids do here. I want to thank Foley Youth Baseball for their incredibly generous donation of 2 new dugouts to field number 5. So if you're unfamiliar, that's the portion where we have 4 fields that kind of go back to back to back. And a lot of fall balls from other fields coming flying over, weather, those kinds of things. We'll be able to tuck those students in, keep them safe inside of the dugouts, thanks to our baseball youth boosters. 2 big things that I want to touch on too. We're currently in the middle, actually just officially day 1 of a week of giving, an opportunity to generate and raise more funds to complete our weight room project. I want to give a big thank you to Mr. Dahlstrom. He's been an integral part in making that happen. He and I had the opportunity to meet with anonymous Foley alums last week, and they are very, very generously willing to do a match grant for anything that we are able to raise this week, up to $30,000. So if whatever we raise this week, up to $30,000, they are going to match that and add it into the weight room project. So an opportunity to raise up to $60,000 this week alone, which would get us very much at the doorstep of completing the goal to get the weight room in this summer. We also have the Foley Activities Boosters first annual gala coming up April 11th. Another great opportunity to help support our students, our athletic and fine arts students through the Booster Club. We've had an incredible amount of generous donations from local businesses. If you're interested in attending that event, seek me out. We have tickets for sale, or there are online options if you just kind of check your socials. You should see a lot of information out for that gala as well on April 11th.
I'd like to thank the board for the opportunity to hear how things are going so far this year. The mid-year evaluation is a positive step for us to connect and be able to share how things are going and make sure that everyone's expectations are being heard and trying to be met as best as possible. So thank you to the board for that. As you've heard me say a few times, probably we are in the midst of our budgeting. We just had a revision of our current school year budget, which is positive, and we are working on next year's budget as well. We are facing some challenges with the state. They have some things that are challenging us dramatically for next year, and that would be compensatory, the way that they are currently planning to determine compensatory funds would be a reduction for us of about $65,000. We also have a lack of funds for special education in our state right now, so that means that all the school districts are going to be prorated. We're supposed to get 90% of our funding, and at this point that is to be prorated. We expect to lose about $90,000 in that. And then, depending on what they do, probably next year for funding, we are, from what I understand, we should be good for the summer of '26. But for the summer of '27, our unemployment insurance for hourly workers, there is no funding to that, so that would be coming out of our general fund, and that is expected to be at about $280,000. So those funds, those three big ticket items continue to be a challenge for us. We also seem to be losing some students throughout the year, so we are expecting to have a loss of enrollment. Now, of course, we are hopeful with the online program, but we don't know for sure how that will go yet. But we do expect that that'll provide extra opportunities for our students, so that's a very positive for us. I would like to echo others. Fantastic winter sports program. So much fun to see the students perform and to just be part of it. Unfortunately, I missed some of it for a while, but got back to attending when I could. And it was just a lot of fun to see them. You know, we can't all have the best, what we want to have as an end, but we always cheer our kids on, and what a great opportunity for them to participate. One of the things that I really enjoyed over the past month is I got to attend the preschool and kindergarten registration. As a former elementary principal, this was always one of the favorite things of the spring for me, is to bring families in and meet them and meet their 4-year-olds, coming to 5-year-olds, with all the expectation of new kindergarten students in preschool. And it's just, it's a neat experience. We did have a good turnout, and we are continuing to register students online and at the door as well. So we look forward to that. Our indoor air quality project continues to get planning done. We've had quite a bit going there, and contract negotiations are continuing, but we've had some stalls there. We are scheduled to go to mediation for the teachers, and so we are hopeful that we will be able to come to a speedy agreement with all the contracts here, but those have carried on for quite a while. I was at the expo on Saturday. What a great opportunity for people to see what opportunities we have in our community. I was very, very impressed with all the great services that we provide for our community. Breakfast smelled fantastic. I did not partake, but it just looked and smelled great. And then congratulations to our retirees, and finish up the gala. The gala's coming up, so that's another fantastic. I do have tickets if anybody wants to buy tickets. Anything else? Any questions for you?
Committee reports. We had DAX meeting before this meeting. We did talk about the online school program. Thank you, Joel, for bringing that to our attention and reporting on that. We also talked about the budget. So we got a little update on the READ Act.
MTSS.
MTSS is the other thing.
Multi-tiered support systems will be, this month.
Moving forward.
The Wellness Committee. Betten Stearns. Wednesday. Building and Grounds Committee. Finance Committee.
We haven't talked about the budget, but that was good.
Health and Safety. Insurance Committee, not right now. MSBA, nothing right now. Minnesota State High School League, nothing. Policy Committee, we went over those. And then tenure and contracts and negotiations, you guys are in the midst of that. Okay, opportunity for board members to comment. Stephanie, do you want to start us out? Okay, Nathan? Wayne?
I have nothing tonight, no, thank you.
Patrick?
Well, I want to say congratulations to all of our winter athletes. I I think it was a great season for everyone. There's one winter activity that's still going, and that's the senior high speech team, and they are on a tear this year. There's only, I think, one tournament that they did not place in so far this season. So we've had third, second, and first places for the team. Lots of individual placements as well. It's probably it's the largest team we've had probably in my lifetime. It has students from 7th grade to 12th grade in it, and it's I get to participate. I get to judge through the Minnesota State High School League, so I get to go and be part of this for kids from all schools, and that's what's really cool about it too. Sure, our team's doing great, but what's really neat is watching our students and students from schools from all over the state, whether they're in our conference or a subsection or not, because there's invitationals, and they have friends from all these different places, and seeing all of that and how they cheer each other on, it is so cool. But so yeah, I want to say congratulations to our speech team, doing great.
Sharon?
Lots of positives since our last meeting. The FFA breakfast was great. We have named our AAA students, Liz Thorsten and Noah Brunn, XL students, Max Vetter and Abby Wheeler. Congratulations to those students. I want to thank Lamour's family for the very generous donation. He was a wonderful craftsman. Kindergarten and preschool registration went well. Lots of little Falcons showed up, and 25 staff members worked that event to make it positive, and it always is. It's fun. The community expo was held this weekend. It gave community the chance to see what's available in our wonderful rural community, focusing on health. And I want to thank Mike Crowell for his great work. Good luck, and know you will be missed. We also hired 2 SLPs that will save us dollars and better serve our students. I want to say happy St. Patrick's Day to all, and watch out for those leprechauns. We have lots of traps at our house.
Alyssa?
A couple of weeks ago, the 4th graders had a little concert, so I want to thank the music teachers for putting on such a good show. It was really neat, and they seemed like they all enjoyed being there, so that's always a bonus when you're in the crowd and they all look like they're happy to be there. And then I just want to wish good luck to our archers over the next couple of weekends. We've got some big weekends coming up, so if you see any of them, just wish them good luck.
I want to thank Arnie for being a great bus driver for a lot of years. Mike Crowell, this was a hard one to swallow because he helped Isaiah when he was little, so I really know firsthand what a great job he's done through all the years, and he's had to deal with some difficult kids. I know because mine is one of them. Okay, I'm just talking about my kid on that one. But I know that he's put in a lot of dedication and made a lot of differences in our school. We're starting out in the elementary school and then going over to the high school. So I'm appreciative to that. Congrats to all of our activities, in the winter activities. It was fun to watch the wrestlers go down to state and be a part of that. So, okay. Next meeting we have on April 20th. That'll be our next school board meeting here in the high school, or in the intermediate school media center. It'll be at 5:30. Check out the calendar on the website for any other events. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
To adjourn.
Motion by Sharon, second by Alyssa.